Modern neuroscience supports what shamans have known for millennia about consciousness and creativity. Today, we're building the creative ritual, the bridge between your thinking mind and the source of story itself. Hi, I'm Mark Graham. Welcome to the Mindful Storyteller, the channel where we explore the sacred art of storytelling through the lens of ancient wisdom, modern psychology, and practical craft. Now, whether you're preparing for a writing blitz or simply looking to deepen your year-round writing practice, this channel is about intentional, mindful storytelling, connecting to the source of story within you and bringing it into the world with power and purpose. Now, today, we're diving into the tools and rituals that create the conditions for deep creativity. This is essential groundwork for any creative endeavor, but especially for novel writing projects like NaNoWriMo, where you'll need to nail down your practice before tackling a full draft novel in just 30 days. Now, I may be using words like sacred or holy to describe this practice. For clarity, I simply mean something set apart for a specific purpose. When we talk about the time and tools dedicated to your creative practice, I can't think of any more appropriate words. You don't need a specific belief system to benefit, just an open mind and a dedication to your craft. So, with that made clear, let's get going. Before we dive into the tools and rituals, we need to understand why they work. This involves understanding how creative writing truly functions in your brain. Human consciousness operates on multiple levels, but for storytellers, we focus on just three. The ordinary consciousness is your everyday thinking, analytical mind. It edits, critiques, and follows logic. This is the mind that makes grocery lists and navigates the day-to-day world. The subconscious mind is the librarian or a research assistant. It retrieves information from deep storage and acts as a concierge, subtly curating your inner and outer experience based on your focus. Finally, the unconscious mind is the ultimate data repository, where every piece of information you've ever encountered is stored. Now, neuroscientists estimate that your brain receives 11 million pieces of information every second. Your unconscious mind stores, archives, and sorts it all. Every experience, every overheard conversation, every image, it's all in there. And this means that every solution to every plot problem, every nuance of every character, it's already in the deep storage of your unconscious mind. The challenge isn't acquiring information, it's accessing it. So, how do we tap into that vast storehouse? It's through a process called incubation. Study after study confirms that unconscious thought, those times when you're not actively working on a problem, enhances creative problem solving more effectively than conscious deliberation. Think about it. The breakthrough solution that appears while you're in the shower or taking a walk, that's your default mode network at play. The product of your subconscious and unconscious minds working together. The conscious thought is convergent and focused. Unconscious thought is divergent and associative. It spreads out, makes unexpected leaps, and connects seemingly unrelated ideas. This is why when people are given creative tasks and then distracted, allowing unconscious processing to occur, they produce more original ideas than those who consciously deliberate. Unconscious thought works far better for genuine creativity. So, if your unconscious mind is this great creative powerhouse, why does writer's block even exist? Well, it's because the ordinary consciousness, the intellect, hijacks the process. Your brilliance doesn't come from your intellect. The story arises from the unconscious. When you're in flow, your subconscious faithfully ferries bits of story to your conscious awareness, and your intellect simply translates it. But when you hit a snag, a plot point that doesn't work, a character that makes no sense, your intellect steps in and tries to fix it. It's like trying to use a hammer to drive in a screw. You can do it, but it's really the wrong tool. A story lives in the unconscious. Trying to access it through pure intellect is fundamentally misguided. This thing we call writer's block is simply your intellect taking over and choosing to run with the story, usually straight into a corner. The more you analyze and brainstorm, the harder you bounce off that brick wall. But the solution is already there, waiting for your intellect to get out of the way so the subconscious can deliver the real message. And this is why ritual matters. It's not a magic wand, it's a key. Ritual distracts the intellect, occupying it with something else so the subconscious can slip past with the information you need. This understanding is crucial for creative writing, especially if you're working under a deadline. When you get stuck, your natural instinct will be to think harder. But now, you know the solution is already there, and ritual is how we access it. Ritual is an intentional practice that builds a container or a sacred space. It doesn't matter if it's spiritual or secular. What matters is the intention behind it. When you light a candle or arrange your altar, you're not generating magic. You're creating a clear and unmistakable signal to your subconscious mind that says, it's time. We're now crossing the threshold. This is when we create. And research shows that rituals actually decrease your neural response to performance failure. They reduce anxiety and quiet the inner critic, that judging voice of the ordinary consciousness. By performing a specific, repeated sequence of actions, you've trained your brain to enter a different mode of consciousness, one where judgment is suspended and the unconscious can come forward. Ritual creates the optimal conditions to allow the magic that's already inside you to emerge. This is the foundation of writing discipline. Successful creatives don't just sit around waiting for inspiration. They show up and do the work, and inspiration follows. And if you've mindfully created an inviting space, inspiration can show up all the sooner. Your ritual is the on-ramp, the pathway, regardless of how you feel or if you think you have anything to say. Anthropologists call the space created by ritual liminality, the betwixt and between state. It's that threshold where old structures fall away and new identities can emerge. Your creative ritual forms a liminal space. When you sit down and speak your intention, you step out of you, the person with bills and emails, and into you, the story for channel. In that liminal space, you become open to flow. Those heightened states of consciousness characterized by effortless control, deep concentration, and loss of self-consciousness. The flow happens most readily in liminal space. Your ritual marks the boundary. It says, within this space, within this time, within these actions, normal rules don't apply. Here, we create. And the ritual doesn't create the story. It helps you find the frequency. Now, before we talk about tools, remember, the most powerful element is simply your presence and commitment. Your tools are just outward signals. If you can only do one thing, just show up. Light a candle, take 3 breaths, or just sit down and begin. Your ritual serves your showing up, not the other way around. This is crucial for a writing blitz, or any time you're writing against the clock. Your ritual makes it possible to overcome the hard days. And for your year-round practice, it transforms writing from something you do when you're inspired to something you are, a writer who shows up. Now, I want to share with you my specific 5-element setup, but remember, these are deeply personal tools that happen to work for me. They may be more or less complex than what will work for you. They may be of a different tradition. They may even seem strange or silly to you. That's all fine. Your altar or workspace, if you prefer, should reflect your personality, your imagination, and intuition. So start simple. Let your practice grow organically. I like to begin with an altar cloth to lay the foundation for my work. It establishes the boundary between the ordinary world and the place of your creative work. It says, here in this space, magic happens. Now, my altar cloth is a couple feet square. Yours could be a throw rug beneath your workstation. Maybe you wrap yourself in a blanket or simply tie a scarf around your neck or wrist. Natural fibers like wool, silk, or cotton are generally better, but if you find a pattern that appeals to you and it happens to be printed on synthetic material, I don't think the muse will mind. Remember, ritual does not equal dogma. The cloth merely declares a boundary between your creative work and the mundane world. The simple act of laying out your cloth becomes your opening statement. I'm here, I'm ready, let's create. Once the boundary is established, I like to invoke each of the classical elements. To me, this invites all the powers of nature to cooperate in the storytelling. Beginning with earth, I use a set of stones to act as anchors, touchstones, and focal points. Now, I use 8 stones, representing the 8 Norse realms beyond Midgard, and corresponding to the 7 chakra points, plus the unconscious, or the 7 classical planets, plus the North lunar mode. You might have one or many. They might be chips or pebbles, or large geodes. What matters is that they're meaningful to you, that they represent solidarity, stability, and grounding energy. Simply trust your attraction. If one particular stone calls to you, get it. These become tactile anchors. You can hold them or touch them when you're stuck. They're physical reminders that say, I'm connected to my source. The story is within me. The candle represents fire, which stands for illumination, inspiration, and transformation. I prefer an unscented blue candle, which corresponds to the throat chakra, the seat of communication and expression, which is excellent for fiction writing. You may prefer white for clarity, purity, and new beginnings, or maybe orange, representing raw, more primal creative powers. Again, just find what works for you. And soon, that click of the lighter or strike of the match becomes a subconscious cue in and of itself. Now, if flame isn't an option, a salt lamp or an LED tea light, or simply turning on a dedicated desk lamp with intention works just as well, so long as it sets your workspace apart and in a special light. Air is the element of breath, of inspiration, and I invoke this element with a stick of incense, usually sandalwood or a dedicated blend. Again, if flame or smoke are a problem, say in a shared space or out in the world, you could also use an oil diffuser or even a drop or two of essential oil on your wrists. One additional benefit to incense sticks is that they burn pretty consistently, so you can easily align them with your writing time if you're on a schedule. Scent has a direct connection to our emotional and memory centers. That's why when you smell certain aromas, your emotions instantly transport you to another place and time, even if your conscious mind can't quite place the scent. Using scent in your ritual, whether it's incense, essential oil, or some other source, may be the single most powerful tool to bring your subconscious mind into alignment with your desire to create. The water element represents flow, emotion, and intuition. Depending on the time of day, I might have coffee, tea, or water. Or if I'm editing or brainstorming, maybe a wee dram of whiskey. Now choose whatever works for you. But for ritual, I recommend having a special mug or a cup that's only used for this practice. This way, even as you're pouring your beverage, before you've even made it to the chair, you're awakening your subconscious by the sight and feel of that special cup. I follow the ancient Indo-European system of elements, which includes a 5th element, Æther. This is the element that flows in all and through all, and from which the other elements are descended. For this, I use my rune cards, representing the primal forces of nature. You might use a tarot or oracle deck, a mala or a rosary, or anything else that elicits in you a connection beyond the ordinary physical world, a connection to the divine, whatever that means to you. It represents the means of communication between your intellect and the unconscious source of story. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. All this time while you've been setting up your space, making your coffee, working not to burn the house down, trying to remember which stone or element is which, your conscious mind has been happily active, helping you to keep your ritual on track, set things in their proper place, and so on, and feeling right smug about what a good job it's doing at that. You know what it hasn't been doing? Worrying about your story. So when you sit down to write and your stones or candlelight catch your eye, you take a sip from your cup or that special sacred scent hits you. Your subconscious mind has space and freedom to move and communicate your story to you. Now, while a dedicated space and a consistent schedule for the ritual generally work best for the mind-body clock, they're not absolutely required. It's more important to show up than to show up at a particular place or time. If you share your living space or need to write outside the home, scale down your altar or workspace into a portable kit loaded with just the essentials, maybe a small cloth, a gemstone or two, an LED candle, and some essential oil. Setting up your space, whether at a desk or on your lap on the metro, becomes part of the ritual itself. And setting up your kit claims the space as sacred, transforming a coffee shop table into your temple. The ritual of packing away becomes your closing ceremony. Thank you. We created today. Until tomorrow. Now, if you can't use objects, just let your body be the altar. Your ritual can include a wearable item like a special ring, necklace, or bracelet. You might adopt a specific posture. You could even go as simple as taking 3 deep, intentional breaths to create an invisible boundary around you. Simply by setting your intention and taking small, mindful actions, your body and your subconscious will know, okay, we're writing now. If your schedule varies throughout the week, just key your ritual to existing habits rather than arbitrary clock time. Write with your morning coffee or after the kids are in bed. Honor your chronotype. Find when in the day you feel most creative and write when you have peak energy. If you only have a small amount of time to write, spending any extra time not putting words on the page may feel extravagant, but I promise you, it's worth it. If this is your situation, just fall back on MVR, your minimum viable ritual. 1 candle lit for just a moment, 3 intentional breaths, drawing 1 rune. Even 30 seconds of ritual is better than diving in cold. It keeps your creative habit alive and sends a signal to your subconscious, however brief, that you're here and you're ready to work. Consistency of intention matters more than consistency of circumstance. Your subconscious responds to your commitment, not your logistics. The ritual is there to serve you, not the other way around. If it becomes a burden, then simplify. Whatever your ritual looks like, it's the power of small, consistent action that builds a powerful creative process. Start with 1 element this week, then let it grow from there. The only plan that doesn't work is waiting for perfect conditions before you begin. Now let's bring it all together. Modern science confirms what the ancients instinctively knew. The unconscious mind is where creativity lives, and ritual is the bridge between the source of story and the blank page. Ritual creates liminal space, opens flow states, and reduces anxiety. The 5 elements create a complete sacred space, but they are nothing without the all-important 6th element, and that's you. Your muse doesn't need a perfect altar. She just needs a faithful partner who reliably shows up. Everything else simply makes the showing up easier, more intentional, more sustainable. Now, anyone can get lucky and have that really great writing session. but reliable, repeatable creativity needs intention and dedication. Whether you're preparing for a writing blitz or building a sustainable year-round creative practice, ritual is your foundation. Start building it now. Hey friends, thanks for joining me today. If you found these writing tips helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Mindful Storyteller. Ring the bell so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll explore how to use the runes to create rich, multi-dimensional characters, the kind of characters that will carry you through 50,000 words and beyond. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What element of ritual are you most drawn to? What's already part of your creative process? Share below. Your insights help shape future episodes. This week, choose one element, just one, to begin your creative ritual practice. Trust the process, trust the muse, and trust yourself. And until next time, may your story guide you well.